Shepherd's Advantage Leadership Podcast, episode 007. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another Shepherd's Advantage Leadership Podcast. We're so grateful that you have taken the time to come and be with us today on this exciting journey of leadership development in a nonprofit context. This ministry was born out of a subcommittee assignment that was given to us a number of years ago, and out of that experience, I learned so very much in leadership development, in relational connectivity, and personally watched the power of relationships and the connections and the friendships that came out of all of that. Little did I know that Shepherd's Advantage was going to become an outgrowth of that very experience a number of years ago. In fact, it became a dissertation that I did not know that I was going to write, and certainly didn't know that Shepherd's Advantage was going to come into existence. And so I am very grateful for those early moments of learning that has brought us to this point in our leadership development, and now sharing these insights and principles with you. Shepherd's Advantage Leadership Podcast is a podcast about leadership development and all things related to it. Our desire is to provoke and stir the imagination to greater leadership capabilities. My hope and my aspiration is not to just give so much intellectual insights or heady principles, but our goal is to help stir your imagination and your capabilities. We're here to offer academic insights in a nonprofit context, but it's not just about academic insights. It's about personal growth and personal development. And with that, may I add that our premier program that we have on offer with Shepherd's Advantage is our executive coaching program. This is a program that is designed to come alongside you. You see, I believe that a coach is not someone that comes and tells you what to do, nor is a coach supposed to come alongside and say, this is what I did in my life, and here's how you can do it, and here's how you can get the same results. No, I believe it's something so much more than that and so much different than that. I believe that a good coach is one that comes along the side of your ministry and your work, and it helps you to reach within yourself for the answers that are already there. You know, so many times in life we just get overrun and overcrowded with our schedules and the pace of life that sometimes the very answers are there within our reach. We just simply need someone to help us in asking the right questions, taking us down a right pathway of exploration, to go deep within ourselves and be able to reach that answer that we are desperately seeking for, and to be able to guide the pathway of improvement. So I believe that a good coach just simply comes alongside as a guide and helps explore the insights, the answers that are already embedded within you. And so this podcast is about development of leaders. And we have started the inaugural presentations of these podcasts based upon the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. We have in the show notes for you a link by which, if you desire, you can purchase that book, the 10th anniversary edition of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, and the workbook if you desire. Now, it's not necessary that you have that for these podcasts. And I will mention to you that this is an affiliate link, and there is a proceed that comes back to us, and those proceeds go right into this podcast development. That's kind of a shameless commercial, if you will, but I want to disclose that and let you know that this is an affiliate link. And if you choose to make those purchases, we would be ever so grateful and ever so appreciative for your help in that. So, with that said, let's begin today as we continue this journey in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We want to begin today by looking at the law of empowerment. The law of empowerment. The law of empowerment says that only secure leaders give power to others. Now, to best understand this law, we look into history, and we want to review for a few moments a very fascinating historical figure in the Industrial Revolution time period of American history, and a gentleman by the name of Henry Ford. He's one of the great American automobile innovators, and we have so much to say thank you to Henry Ford for our transportation means that we have even today. What we have today had those meager beginnings way back with Henry Ford. He stated once that his desire was to build a motor car for the multitude so that any man with a good salary would be able to own a car and enjoy the pleasures of God's great open spaces. Well, that certainly was ambitious, and it was a great beginning, and we have Henry Ford to thank for that. Now, the law of empowerment is not positively illustrated by Henry Ford. Rather, it is the lack of empowerment that we're going to look at here as an illustration. Henry Ford loved his Model T design. In fact, he loved it so much that he would not allow anyone to tinker with the design to change it in any shape, form, or fashion. In fact, history records one time that somebody wanted to suggested that they offer color on the automobiles instead of the black. Henry Ford's response to that was, you know what? People can have any color on their car that they want, so long as it is black. Well, the more eccentric that Henry Ford became in his protective behavior, the more the younger Ford, Edsel, had to work just to keep the company going. If it wasn't for the investment of hard work from Edsel, Ford Motor Company would have been out of business all the way back in the 1930s. It would be Edsel's oldest son, Henry Ford II, that would be instrumental in turning the company around to begin to make a profit after 15 years of loss. It's hard to imagine how any company can survive 15 years in a row of loss. But he would infuse the company with new innovative leaders, and ultimately it would be Henry Ford II that would force his grandfather and the founder of Ford Motor Company out of leadership. In fact, there would be some 150 top leaders from General Motors that would come to Ford and be part of the great turnaround story of American motor car history. The founder of Ford Motor Company teaches us that only secure leaders are able to give power to others. Theodore Roosevelt stated one time that the best executive is the one who has sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done and yet exhibit self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they're doing it. Now that is a great piece of advice. We need to hire the right people, but we need to let them do their job that we're asking them to do. Evidently, the eccentric behavior of the founder was passed on genetically to Henry Ford II. In fact, it would be Henry Ford II that stated one time that when a man works for you, don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him get cozy in his ways. Always do the opposite of what he expects. Keep people anxious and off balance. In order to lead others well, you must help people reach their potential. They're not going to reach their potential, are they, if you always keep people anxious, second guessing, on edge, whether they're going to have a job, what's going to happen to their job, your feelings about their performance, on and on and on the discussion could go. But only secure leaders give power to others, and in order to lead them well, you need to help them reach their potential. That means that you must be on their side. Don't pit one person against another in your leadership team or your organization. Encourage people. Give them power. Give them resources and tools to help them do their job better. Help people succeed. Empower them with a goal of success, their success. There are two childhood games that come to mind that works against this law of empowerment, and I'm not suggesting that these two games that I'm going to mention is part and parcel for failure in this particular law, but it is interesting to review it because we can see some similitude in modern illustrations of leadership. Here are these two games that we learned as children. King of the Hill and Follow the Leader. King of the Hill is a game that involves knocking other people down so that you're the only one standing. Thus, you become king of the hill. The other game is, in a way, it suggests that you keep offering leadership suggestions in which others cannot follow, and thereby you keep your leadership intact. Well, we can certainly look all around us in our modern time. We don't even have to go back in history to see this, but Henry Ford II would suggest that if you keep people anxious, if you don't allow them to get cozy, do the opposite of what they expect, then isn't that kind of like King of the Hill and Follow the Leader? Well, leading well is not about enriching yourself, is it? Leading well is really about empowering other people. So let's consider three barriers to empowerment, and these three barriers are listed in the show notes along with other pieces of information there, but we have them listed for your convenience. Number one barrier here is a desire for job security. And this is the number one enemy of empowerment. That others feel, or fear rather, that they're going to lose what they have if they empower others. So weak leaders worry if they help subordinates succeed, then the subordinates are going to take over, and therefore you now become dispensable. They'll take my job if I help them. We hear that said sometimes. The second barrier to empowerment is resistance to change. John Steinbeck once asserted that as a man grows older, he will protest against change, especially change for the better. It is a fact, isn't it, that we do not like change. We do enjoy those similar patterns, similar habits. We coddle them. We hold on to them like a nice warm blanket on a cold day around a crackling fire. But in order for things to change, then we are going to have to let go of some of the loves and the habits and the patterns that we tend to hold dearly in order for us to achieve change. And then thirdly, a lack of self-worth. Self-conscious people are rarely good leaders, always focusing on themselves, worrying about their appearance and what others are going to think. Always, it's about me. It's about how I look, how I'm going to be perceived, what others think of me. It's about my job performance. It's about my contribution. Look at what I have done. Do you see what I'm doing? It's this lack of self-worth. But you know what? Strong leadership requires that you have a strong fortitude about who you are. And thereby you can easily empower others toward their success because you are already strong in your own self-image and your own self-capabilities. Author Buck Rogers stated that those who have confidence in themselves embrace change as a stimulus. They have a conviction that one person can make a difference. Well, I know that sometimes that we'd like to think we can make a difference. Circumstances tends to dictate otherwise to us, but may I suggest I like Buck Rogers' statement here. For you see, I believe it is possible for one person to make a change and make a difference. I believe that we can make a lasting impact upon other people's lives. Admiral James Stockdale stated at one time, leadership must be based on goodwill. It means obvious and wholehearted commitment to others. What we need for leaders are men of heart who are so helpful that they, in effect, do away with the need of their job. But leaders like that are never really out of a job, are they? Never really out of followers willing to follow them. Strange as it sounds, great leaders gain authority by giving it away. Now that is a strong, powerful insight on leadership. And you can find that quote on page 148 in the 21 Laws book. I like that statement. That is a statement that is tremendous. You know, when you give power away, you're never going to be without power, and you're never going to be without followers. People are always willing to come alongside a person that is strong within themselves, preparing others to succeed, more interested in others, caring about others. Because you see, the law of empowerment is about empowering others for their success. And that, in a different kind of way, turns around and actually causes you to become successful. Well, how do we apply this law of empowerment? Each and every podcast, we've been working on how that we can empower ourselves, or apply, rather, these laws. So on the law of empowerment, first would suggest, how do you characterize yourself in terms of your own self-worth? I mean, do you really believe that you have value to add to other people or to add to the organization that you're part of? Are you willing to take some risks? Are you willing to step out, be the front person, and lead, and have the confidence to lead even if others are hesitant? Are you, second of all, a person that others can believe in? I mean, consider the question. Do you see what other people can become if you make the most of their gifts and their opportunities? Listen, when you begin to focus on that and you begin to pour into others and believe in their success and see their potential, you will become a person that people can believe in, because all of a sudden they see that you have their best interest at heart. So, start helping people today. Start reaching out to someone today. It doesn't have to be some grandiose idea in some large program, but just start with the small things and make a difference there today. Thirdly, if your natural inclination is to build and to hold on to power, then may I suggest that you need to go through a very serious paradigm shift in your life. You need to begin to deal with these issues of clutching power rather than releasing power. That is a paradigm shift. Now, you can do it, and it can be done, but please understand that if I'm a person that holds on to power, I am the first person that needs to change in order to become a leader practicing the law of empowerment. Well, the next law that we want to take a look at is the law of the picture. The law of the picture says that people do what people see. How do you make the law of the picture come alive? Great leaders always seem to embody the quality of being highly visionary and yet practical at the same time. They can envision what is coming and what must be done today. How does that happen? Well, let's consider for just a moment three important ideas of mission, vision, and strategy. Mission. Mission provides purpose by answering the question of why. You have to have a mission statement. You have to have the big why that motivates you. There has to be a reason of why. It simply cannot be a cavalier response or an overly simplistic, hey, I don't have anything else to do, so let's go do this. No, mission purpose answers that question of why I'm investing, I'm spending time, I'm advancing education, I'm pouring myself into something because I see it as a missional purpose. And then second of all is vision. Vision provides a picture that answers the question, what? So when you are driven by mission, then you need to start painting the canvas. Here's what it looks like. Here's what's going to be required. Here are the actionable steps that are necessary to bring this to a reality. So vision paints that picture, helping us to answer the question, what? What does it look like? Why are we doing this? Here's what it looks like. And then thirdly, strategy. Strategy provides the plan. It's the marching orders. It's the pathway. It's the highway that's going to answer the question, how? So if we have a mission, how are we going to do it? The strategy gives us that kind of insights. Blogger Hans Fenzel, a great leadership podcast and blogger, suggests that you locate him. You can Google him at hansfenzel.com, I believe it is. And he states that leaders are paid to be dreamers. The higher you go in leadership, the more your work is really about the future. That's a powerful insight. I agree with Hans Fenzel on this. The higher up in leadership you go, if you are bogged down with the immediacy and always having to repair yesterday, it's going to be very, very hard for you to cast effective visionary leadership, missional purpose, strategic work and resources coming to bear. It's really going to put you on your heels otherwise. Along with Hans Fenzel's comments, leaders are practical enough to know that vision without action achieves nothing. This makes the leader responsible for helping followers to take the action. This is difficult at times because followers cannot always see the future in a way that a leader does. They cannot always see what is best for the team. They're clutching the moment, and they are bound to the moment in time. Vision tends to leak. Therefore, leaders are keepers of the vision, and they are tasked with keeping the picture alive. And so, therefore, that needs to leak out. It needs to constantly keep pouring out, seeping out in conversations, in strategic planning meetings, etc., etc. Vision leaks, and we need to share it, sometimes slowly, sometimes a piece at a time. Sometimes others are so overwhelmed by the realization of radical shift if you dump it all out at one time. So vision does tend to leak. That vision is kept alive by effective communication coupled with being a living illustration of that fact. So let's take a look at 4 key insights on effective leading. Number 1, followers are always watching what you do. General Colin Powell once observed that all of the memos and all of the motivational speeches in the world does not matter if they do not see you putting forth your very best effort. They will not put forth their best effort if you're not. And then number 2, it's easier to teach what is right to do than what is, it is easier to teach what is right than do what is right. Mark Twain stated it this way, that to do what is right is wonderful. To teach what is right is even more wonderful and much easier. The great challenge of leadership is to raise your living to the level of your teaching. Norman Vincent Peale stated that nothing is more confusing to people than to give advice while setting a bad example. We should work, number 3, on changing ourselves before trying to improve others. One of the great dangers of leadership is attempting to change others without changing yourself. The truth of the matter is that the buck stops here. I cannot lead where I have not traveled. So we need to work at improving ourselves. In fact, we need to change ourselves. We need to have a sustainable pattern, a pathway, a vision, a dream of how we're going to change, and we need to put the resources on the table to bring that to a reality. There is a difference between talking about changes, changing ourselves, and putting money, resources, and change of lifestyle on the table to bring that to a reality. You see, the truth of the matter is that the buck does stop here. So I cannot lead where I have not traveled. And then number 4, the most valuable gift a leader can give is being a good example. In major surveys that have been conducted over the years, it seems that leading by example is always at the top of the list of the most important qualities to possess. Walking the talk is important for those that are following. This leads us to an old axiom that says leadership is more caught than taught. Well, how do we apply the law of the picture? First of all, give yourself a character audit. List all of the core values, such as integrity, honesty, hard work, etc. And now think about in the last 30 days of your life and ask yourself, how have I demonstrated these core values to people that I'm trying to lead? Don't dismiss these core values and don't move through the list too quickly, but take some time to do a serious evaluative examination of this. And may I suggest this is where a good coach certainly is worth the investment. Second of all, ask a trusted colleague to observe you for a short period of time and then allow that person to speak into your life for performance review and suggestions and insights. Again, this is another area that a coach could certainly be of value. However, if you have that trusted friend or colleague, that would work well also. And then thirdly, what are the 3 to 5 leadership qualities that you wish people were doing on your team right now? And then measure your performance of these same 3 to 5 qualities to see how well you're leading by example yourself. Well, our time has come and gone once again, and Shepherd's Advantage Leadership Podcast. Stop by our show notes, links and an affiliate links and other insights and information is listed there for you in the show notes. We're so grateful that you've taken the time to spend with us in these moments of developing leadership qualities and developing the leader within you. I'm so very humbled and very grateful that you would take the time to share these moments with us in Shepherd's Advantage Leadership Podcast. We are grateful that you have been with us. Thank you for the time, and we appreciate your investment so very, very much. Until the next time,